Okay, we're on day 3 and I'm going to show you the progress I've made here. So what I've done is I've added some sandy beach to the mudflat beach to give it a two-tone effect. I've put cliffs over here. Probably still need to work on those. Added some rocks just where the terrains change from one to another to kind of camouflage it and also make the transition into the ocean. Put a rock out here where there was an edge of the mudflat mesh showing up. Some rocks over here on that edge. Then over here I redid these. I'm still not 100% happy with them, but I airbrushed and softened the top edge a bit. I made it a little bit of a softer blue, not quite so harsh as it was. I think I'm still going to soften it a bit more, make it a little more cloudy than blue. I've also fixed this adjoining edge here, the trees to stick out, and I used the clone brush to come in here and kind of cover up. There was a little house in here and a little bit of a house here. So those have been covered up. And then I added these rocks from the default assets, some grass, a couple of mushrooms and things just to fiddleheads, popped it to life. Then I came over here to the other side. I made another billboard for the back of the forest. I transitioned to the cliffs here, but I haven't finished what I'm going to do there yet. I don't know how I'm going to finish that off. But I put these stones in here in order to come up. I've added some fog, and these trees are actually the terrain trees. If I go back to terrain, they are my terrain trees. Do one over here. And zoom in. Sorry about that. Just a little bit of a select that, and then I'll just pump it out of the ground, and you can see that's what it is. It's a terrain tree. So I've done these stumps with them. I've shown this before, but those are made out of the terrain, so they're very low on the polygons. So then what I've done is close down the nature pack and the basic pack, go into my starter town assets. I've built in Blender, kind of like a cross between a Douglas fir and a monkey tree, but I have built this top. And so you can see it's more or less the same texture. I couldn't get it exactly perfect because I did have to scale it, and map it in Blender in order to bring it in properly. And then instead of going with tons and tons and tons of faces on these branches and having lots and lots of needles and drive my vertex count up, my vertex and polygon count up, I've kept this pretty simple. I've kept a few layers on the treetop there. I was going to go only like 3, but then I thought if you do see them from a distance, they're going to look kind of goofy. So I thought, okay, well, I'll take a vertex hit, and I will add, I don't know how many layers I've got there, but I've got like a bunch stagnating up. So I could cut that off. I could refine it. I was going to go for just half of that, but I just thought it would look dumb. So we'll get rid of that. And so those are placed on top of the pretty much zero resource work tree barks that I made, or tree logs. And then I've put in some of the default pine trees. See, each one of these pine trees has about twice the amount of vertexes that these do. So it's literally, even though they're pretty low poly, they're higher work than these. So I've used those in here sparingly, and I've filled out more with this. It looks pretty good. I'm still just using the default character, and I haven't assigned sounds, but let's jump in. And here we'll take a little look at go over here. You can see the billboard clips to the sky still. It's better, but I do want to soften that blue more and make it a little more gray to match those clouds from this angle. Depending on your angle, it's going to blend in more, of course. You can't get it perfect. You're using a billboard. The idea thing would be to you do it further in the background. But here's the default assets, the rocks and stones. They're really good. Like, I got to say, I like their default assets for the nature stuff. Like, they've done a pretty good job on them. And then up top, there's some fiddleheads, and I got some grass there so that you can not quite see the billboard transition so easy. It's blocked most of the way up. There is still here. I could have probably dumped a tree or something in the back there and just hidden that off, but whatever. I'll still play around with it. There's lots of time. It's only day 3. Now I'm dropping down onto the beach. And I thought it important. I was going to try and have it mix so the sand kind of worked its way in. I might still, but I give it 1 drop off. So I might turn those into a slope, or I might just leave them alone and just 1 drop off. You're stepping down onto the beach. It's a little bit groomed. And then over here, to hide that edge, I've added another rock. And then I come out here onto the mud. I can walk into the water, a little over my head. Come out here. You can see there's that other rock where I had a little peak of this mesh sticking up. So I just covered it. It doesn't hurt to have a rock out there. I am going to have a dock here at some point in time with a boat on it to flush it out. And there's those cliffs. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish those, but they look pretty good. You know, that's the Irish cliffs from back in pack 1. There's some more default terrains. Hiding the junction between the two. Some default rocks, sorry. Come up on my sandy beach. Now I'm going to come up here into the forest. And you can see how the forest is. I got the fog. You got that forest disappearing into that billboard in the back to give it that ominous dark forest look. I got some fireflies in the background there. I got some pixie lights up here. And you can see my stumps and trees look really, really good. Just going to come back out again. Punk. And I'm just going to walk over this way a little bit. End up back this way. Not sure how I'm going to map the camera for the game yet. I'll have to figure that out. But, oh, too far. I wanted to, I'm going to zoom out to show you how that's implemented. So if you zoom out really far, you can see that where the billboard ends to the sky and the forest disappears. Not much I can do about that unless I drop another billboard behind it that goes from this dark and then softens up into the gradient of the sky color. Might do that, I don't know. But then again, you've got those hard edges, right? So we'll see. I might just leave that and continue the trees for a little bit and have them taper off and disappear. But essentially, that's all I've got done for today. But it is coming along, and I'm about ready to lay down the houses here and some asphalt. But on that note, that's where I'll end it for the night, and that's progress on day 3 of the level design.